Megacast on Civic Center TV.
There are many different kinds of noses. Our noses can sniff out all kinds of things. Good things and bad things. Your nose knows if those sniffles are just a cold, allergies, or COVID-19. So swab it. Test it. It's good to know.
I'm Steve Eiserman of the Detroit Red Wings, and I think every child in Michigan deserves a safe, healthy, and happy childhood. Can we build a state where children trust Michigan isn't just a name, but something our kids believe? Please support Children Trust Michigan as the voice for children and families by visiting the website to learn more.
Radio homes for the Megacast, 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Today's edition of the Megacast begins now. Welcome to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Oakland County and the state of Michigan. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft. You can find us all throughout Oakland County and around the state of Michigan on a number of community television and radio stations, and you can find all those stations in your local, including those in your local area, on civiccentertv.com/megacast. Whether you're here in Oakland County and you're watching us on TV on Civic Center TV in the greater West Bloomfield area, live to tape on Orion Neighborhood Television in Orion Township and Lake Orion, or on Birmingham Area Municipal Access, or listening to us on the radio, places like 89.3 Lakes FM and 88.1 The Biff out of Bloomfield Hills. You'll always be able to find us on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. Each and every day we go through the top stories from across Oakland County and around the state of Michigan, and hear from experts all around the state on a number of different topics and issues in the news today, and about places, projects, and interesting things happening all throughout the state of Michigan. Let's begin on our local news page on civiccentertv.com, where we do each and every day with our top stories making headlines on this Wednesday. Our top story today from Ron French at Bridge, Michigan. As Michigan's population numbers have continued to fall, economists are exploring how the state's economy may be affected by these numbers, as well as how to make Michigan a more attractive location for people relocating inside the U.S. or to the U.S., and especially those who may operate or be looking to operate a business after they move to a different place. Michigan's population is dwindling. It has been over the last several years, and what remains is a population that is older, that is sicker, and that is closer to the end of their career or the end of their life. That's, of course, a problem for a state in recovery from COVID-19, which is a problem across the entire U.S. It certainly doesn't help as the state is dealing with these other issues in population and age differences and so on. And it's also a problem for our business sectors all across the state in a variety of different career paths and industries, from healthcare to education and beyond, that are still clamoring for talent even now, even years after things have started to reopen following the bulk of the COVID-19 pandemic. These industries are still struggling to get people to come back to work and stay in those jobs, let alone stay in the state of Michigan. So an older population, that means more impending or current retirees currently living in Michigan, and it also means that, and it also couples with more people dying than are being born in the state of Michigan. You bring that all together, the lower birth rate and the people leaving the state for better opportunities, a change of scenery, family reasons, or a bevy of other reasons that they may leave Michigan. And our state could have a big problem on its hands if it doesn't get a grasp on the situation and build a strong strategy to reverse the trends that they're currently facing. But how do you reverse a trend like this, especially everywhere, when everywhere in this economy is facing the same uncertainty from the economic side, and many other places that have just as much opportunity and just as much to offer as the state of Michigan are also trying to get people to come to their state. The issue is drawing the attention of the state's leaders at this time, and it's a growing concern for many of them, going as high as the governor's office itself, and Governor Gretchen Whitmer in her second term. Also on the case, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, otherwise known as the MEDC. You may know them better as the people behind the Pure Michigan campaign, and they are working very hard and actively to run the same sort of marketing magic in order to attract workers and families and individuals either to the state of Michigan or back to the Great Lakes state. In a statement recently, MEDC CEO Quentin Messer Jr. said, quote, "Building a championship state is a process and a journey, not always linear. The positive news is that there is bipartisan commitment to not only the journey, but also to achieving the ultimate outcome, winning for the present and for future Michiganders," and closed quote. Make no mistake about it, Michigan is not becoming a small state. It's still in the top 10 in terms of population per capita in the union. It's the trends that are concerning. More births than deaths in the state of Michigan. More people leaving Michigan and moving to other states or other countries than are moving into Michigan, as well as either stagnating or slowing immigration internationally to the state of Michigan, which is also playing a factor. And even if those immigration rates return to more moderate and more typical rates, that's not going to bridge these gaps that we have in births versus deaths, or in this case, deaths versus births, and people leaving the state versus coming into the state of Michigan to call it their home. Immigration is going to certainly play a factor. It certainly helps to pad some of those more positive numbers, but it's not that much of a difference maker in terms of turning the tide from Michigan's population lowering or getting older or retiring versus people coming to the state, joining the state's workforce, starting businesses, and so on, all of which are of critical importance to Michigan's present in this current economy and the future as it looks to continue to recover from COVID-19. Last week, business leaders for Michigan, the organization, released a report detailing what they believe to be the most important ground for the state to cover in order to bounce back from the impact of these current trends. On the list, recruiting talent, number one on that list. You got to get people into the state of Michigan that are in industries of need, that are filling those positions of need, that are going to have an impact in those industries, in those jobs, and remain in the state of Michigan. Number two on that list, reducing red tape and regulation on business and commerce, opening things up so that there's less getting in the way of people wanting to start new businesses in the state of Michigan, move their current business operations into the state of Michigan, and of course, lowering costs of operation, lowering costs of shipping. Those economic and those environmental, certainly, regulations do have an impact on businesses. It's something that you hear as a common complaint from the business sector, from the private sector toward the public sector, in terms of what is preventing them from growing their business and growing the economy. So that's also on that list. Number three is improving communities and supporting innovation and job creation. That's number three and number four. Improving communities, making communities safer, making communities more attractive to people from both in the state and around the country to come to Michigan, making it seem like a better place to live, making it be a better place to live, a better place to call home, a better place to want to start a business. Improving community by community, whether it's the city of Detroit, the Metro Detroit area, the Lansing area, mid-Michigan, northern Michigan, southwestern Michigan, whatever area of the state you're in, improving those communities area by area, repairing what needs to be repaired, improving the infrastructure, attracting those businesses, and kind of taking all these different factors that are being listed by business leaders from Michigan and compartmentalizing them to local areas. That's number three on their list. Number four, as I said earlier, supporting innovation and job creation, bringing in industries that are going to be impactful in the future of our economy. That's part of the reason why Michigan has been really trying to lead a charge of attracting electric vehicle production or electric vehicle parts production here, given that the Biden administration, the U.S. Department of Transportation, and other government organizations and bureaucracies are really focusing on shifting the automotive industry from internal combustion engines to electric vehicles in the future. Michigan can be on the front lines of that. We've seen it happen before where the automotive industry, when it goes through a major change or goes through a major innovation or just goes through a boom, it certainly helps the state of Michigan, certainly helps the city of Detroit. That's why they call it the Motor City. And in this case, that's something that is being focused on by the government at this time. But it's not just the automotive industry that's got to happen. It's got to happen in other industries too. Medical, it's got to happen in the skilled trades. These are all focuses that need to be, that business leaders from Michigan think Michigan really needs to hone in on in order to help bridge some of these gaps that they're seeing and that are already having an impact on our economic recovery from COVID-19. Lastly, incentives for new and existing businesses, encouraging them to not only stay here if they're here already, but to come to Michigan, to start their business here, to move their business here, to make Michigan's economy where they base their business. New incentives, we've seen that in the past. Look at what happened in the film industry when we had the film incentive before that was cut by the previous gubernatorial administration. People wanted to make movies here. Mark Wahlberg, one of the big stars that was making a lot of movies in the state of Michigan, grew to love Michigan, opened a Wahlburgers location, a couple of them in the state of Michigan, loves to come back to the Detroit area for golfing and for recreation and to get engaged with the community. And the film industry really loved the state of Michigan. In fact, I know from my own experience and from talking with many of the people on our staff here at Civic Center TV and at My Michigan TV, part of what encouraged them to go into media, to go into film and television production was the film incentive at that time when we were in high school and thinking about what we wanted to do with our careers. Knowing that that industry was growing in Michigan off of that incentive played a big factor in a lot of people my age that are in this industry, in media, in film and television production, making the decision to pursue that as a career. When you cut off that incentive, it really cut off the film industry from coming to the state of Michigan, to places like Detroit, to the western side of the state on the shores of Lake Michigan, to northern Michigan. There's so much that we could have done with those incentives. And that goes for other industries too, whether it is automotive or it is healthcare or it is small businesses. Building those incentives from the government down to these individuals and these businesses could play a huge factor in this. There's so much to unpack in this article. I highly encourage you to read it. It's our top story listed on our local news page today on civiccentertv.com. Ron French at Bridge, Michigan did an incredible job. There's a lot of detail here. There's a lot of supporting information. Really interesting economic story. Now, look, I'm not a big economics and numbers guy and business news guy. That's not really my biggest area of interest. I'm a sports guy. But even this was compelling to me, thinking about where the state is at, where we're at in this economy, and where the state can be going. You know, this is something I'll keep in mind for Friday when we talk to Dr. Michael Greiner from Oakland University School of Business Administration. Where is the state at? Where does it need to improve to bridge those gaps that are being created by population slowing or reducing in the state of Michigan as it has been, and with the state of the economy still recovering from COVID-19. Really interesting story on the top of our local news page on civiccentertv.com today. Moving on, also making news today from Miriam Marini at the Detroit Free Press on our local news page, something that may help with the population and economic woes of the state of Michigan, as business leaders of Michigan even said, strong, thriving communities. There's some good news on that front from the U.S. News and World Report's ranking of the 150 best places to live in the United States, 6 of which are right here in the Great Lakes State and found themselves near the top of the top 150 this year and all throughout the rankings. Ranking closest to the top in the top 15 at number 14 overall, the 14th best place to live in the U.S. according to this publication, U.S. News and World Report, is Ann Arbor, a thriving college town with a vibrant community of small businesses, arts and culture, and plenty of activities, including the Ann Arbor Art Fair coming up in July that, of course, is joining us every Monday at 10:40 on the Megacast as we preview that event later on this summer. That's at number 14. Also cracking the top 20 at number 20, Grand Rapids, another city that's been growing for many years here in the state of Michigan. One of Michigan's biggest cities, right there with Detroit and Lansing and Flint and the Saginaw area as well. Grand Rapids cracking the top 20. It's been booming in the last several years and in the last couple of decades as the art scene grows there, certainly as the craft brewery and the beer production grows in that city. Grand Rapids, an exciting place in the state of Michigan, continues to be growing and trending forward in the future. That could be one of those places that has a big impact on Michigan's recovery from COVID-19 and trying to bring people back into the state of Michigan and keep people in Michigan. Cities like these 6 on this list. In addition, on the list, cracking the top 100 at number 83, our state's capital, Lansing, another great area right near College Town, East Lansing, right there, just a couple miles down Grand River Avenue from the city of Lansing proper at number 83. Again, lots of great activities in the Lansing area. Certainly, it's a big driver for innovation and change in the state of Michigan, given that it is our state's capital, and it has plenty of arts and culture and certainly activities. You think about football season, the fall, all the different cider mills, all the different places to go for hay rides and the farm life, and also, of course, campus life at Michigan State University. A little bit of bias here, as you can see. Again, I'll get my bearings right back there. Go green, go white. I'm a big fan of Lansing and the Lansing area, and so is the U.S. News and World Report, putting them number 83 in the top 150 places to live in the United States. Additionally, on the list in the top 100, Kalamazoo at number 90, another college town there with Western Michigan, and much like Grand Rapids, great craft brewery and arts scene. It's a growing city as well. And then others in the top 150 at number 114, the city of Detroit, Michigan's biggest city, a city on a comeback trail that has been for a long time, been innovating, been changing, been growing, definitely trending forward. It wouldn't surprise me if next year or in the next few years we see Detroit also in the top 100. Hey, Kalamazoo, watch out. The D could be passing you very soon. Flint rounding out Michigan's top places to live at number 130 out of 150 on this year's list. Really good news, interesting read, gives a little bit more information on why these cities were ranking so high on the list this year, how they cracked the top 150, why U.S. News and World Report's rankings had featured these 6 Michigan cities. Really interesting article. You can read even the full article connecting to this from the U.S. News and World Report by clicking through this article on our local news page on civiccentertv.com. A great summary by Miriam Marini at the Detroit Free Press in this case. Additionally, making headlines today from Mark Hicks at the Detroit News. Time is running out for you to see the beloved polar bear cubs at the Detroit Zoo. It was announced recently that these cubs, who have called the zoo home for about 2.5 years, will be taking a trip to the Pacific Northwest to Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium in Tacoma, Washington, as conducted through recommendations from the Association of Zoos and Aquariums polar bear population experts. Astra and Lairk will be moving as part of an effort to help them continue on in their development, as at this age, they would be on their own in the wild, living their own individual life, thriving in their own distinct area and their own distinct environment. That's the plan as they head off to Tacoma to continue on really what is their adult life, ending an historic run in Detroit that began with a really interesting story, of course, being born and beginning their journey at the Detroit Zoo, an early medical emergency that saw them in, one of them really in some really bad shape, the recovery from that, and then years of making memories with each other and with families across our local area and visitors coming into the Detroit area to see the heavily lauded Detroit Zoo. In a statement, the Detroit Zoo responded to the decision to transfer both Astra and Lairk to Tacoma by saying, quote, "We are saddened to see Lairk and Astra will be leaving us, but the Detroit Zoo is so proud to have played a role that influenced how these 2 cubs grew up. With that said, we know they are going to have a great home at Point Defiance Zoo, another outstanding AZA-accredited facility, and we are confident that they will thrive in their new environment. Keeping these bears living well is of high importance to zoos like the Detroit Zoo and Point Defiance, as polar bears are listed as a threatened species under the U.S. Endangered Species Act and are internationally recognized as being at high risk of extinction. So another reason why putting these polar bear cubs in a different environment to continue to thrive in their development and live a strong and healthy life, and ideally down the road be able to reproduce themselves and continue to bolster the population of polar bears on planet Earth, a big reason for moving them from the Detroit Zoo. So happy trails to Astra and Lerk as they end their journey at the Detroit Zoo, and best of luck to the both of them, and to Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium in Tacoma, Washington, as they take our friends here from the Royal Oak area here in Oakland County at the Detroit Zoo and bring them into their new home in Washington State. Additionally, making headlines today on our local news page on civiccentertv.com, this time from West Michigan and MLive's Audra Gamble. If you're still trying to get tickets to see a Taylor Swift concert, well, good luck, pal. It's easier said than done. These elusive tickets have gone fast, and those that do remain are being resold. Well, they may as well come with a mortgage of their own. But you still might have an opportunity to get yourself some Taylor Swift tickets, and in the process, support a good cause. Harbor Humane Society on the west side of the state in Ottawa County is raffling off 2 tickets to see Taylor Swift live and in concert in Chicago on June 3rd as part of their annual fundraiser. The June 3rd concert is at Soldier Field in Chicago and could be on your schedule for just $25 for an entry into their raffle of these tickets, or you can get 5 raffle entries from Harbor Humane Society for just $100. That's basically the same price you have to pay just to get into the Ticketmaster website. Oh, got him! Oh. All right, that's enough zingers for one day. What's even better about this fundraiser is the proceeds from the raffle will go towards supporting the animals in the shelter. So here's what you got to do. Between now and the nonprofit's Secondhand Prom for Secondhand Pets event that will happen at the Park Theater in Holland on May 26th, that's next week, late next week. Raffle entrants do not have to be present at the event in order to win. You just have to enter before that event. Follow the link that is in this article and you can purchase your raffle tickets. Again, it's 1 ticket for $25, or you can get 5 entries for $100, a little bit of a savings on that 5th entry, and potentially get those 2 elusive tickets to see Taylor Swift live and in concert at Soldier Field in Chicago. Again, the date on that concert is June 3rd. Per this article from MLive and the Harbor Humane Society, quote, Harbor Humane Society is a nonprofit animal shelter that takes care of an average of over 3,500 animals each year. So a big impact, certainly, from your donations in the form of these raffle entries. And hey, maybe you have a little bit of fun in the process and get some of those tough to find, tough to come into possession of tickets to see Taylor Swift in concert. Some are still available here in the state of Michigan and other places nearby like Chicago or Philadelphia in the Midwest region. But again, very expensive tickets. You're not going to get many opportunities to get Taylor Swift tickets for maybe $25 or maybe even $100, especially 2 tickets, depending on how this raffle goes down from the west side of the state over in Holland. Again, you can support the Harbor Humane Society through this by following the link in this article. Click through to read the article in full and learn more about the Harbor Humane Society in Holland, Michigan by visiting our local news page today on civiccentertv.com. Finally, making headlines today on our local news page from Amari Sankofa II at the Detroit Free Press. Death, taxes, and bad news for the Detroit Pistons fans as they continue on their rebuild. At last night's NBA draft lottery, which we spoke a little bit about on yesterday's show, the Pistons coming off a season where they held the worst record in the NBA and had a 3-way tie for the best odds to land the number 1 overall pick and phenom, generational talent, unicorn, 7'5" French sensation Victor Wembanyama, ended up in their worst case scenario landing the 5th overall pick. They had just under a 50% chance of landing the number 5 overall pick, and well, that coin flip did not go in their favor. In this case, the ping pong ball combinations hit on the Detroit Pistons after the 5th try. You want that obviously to go after the 1st try. So a little bit of chaos here now because the Detroit Pistons in this particular draft, if you're in the top 3, you really can't go wrong with this draft. Of course, Victor Wembanyama is expected to be one of the best talents in this generation of players. He is considered a generational talent out of France, already playing professional ball over there, having a great season in France and is expected to have an immediate impact in the NBA. Even last night during the coverage of the NBA draft lottery, ESPN's team, I believe it was Richard Jefferson, who had said the only problem with Victor Wembanyama's game is his strength. He needs to add muscle. That's exactly what I said on the show yesterday too. I agree 100%. All he's got to do is bulk up a little bit. That's going to happen when you're in the NBA. You got the best training staffs in the world. You got 24/7 access to all the resources you need to put on healthy weight, continue to build your athleticism, and be a great professional basketball player. And he's going to do that now, but instead of doing it in Detroit, he'll be doing that in San Antonio, Texas, as the Spurs ended up with the number 1 overall pick. It was looking good for a while there. It was all chalk, going just as it was planned, just as it was laid out in the odds, right up to pick number 6. At pick number 6, everything's going well. They start flipping over that card for pick number 5. That was the first point I got nervous. It was the last point I got nervous. And then, I can't really say the kind of things I said in reaction to that because we are on community television stations all throughout Oakland County and around the state of Michigan on My Michigan TV. And I can tell you for sure they wouldn't appreciate that. They've told me as much in our conversations in the past. So I'll leave that to the ether and into the universe as it continues to echo as the sound waves travel into nothingness beyond my apartment here in western Oakland County. But certainly a disappointment for the Detroit Pistons. And I have to apologize because on yesterday's show, I told you my strategy for the Detroit Pistons in this NBA draft lottery as a fan was to take the denial is not just a river in Africa approach. Deny it. There's no chance the Pistons are going to end up with the number 1 overall pick. That worked last time with Cade Cunningham. The last time he had a generational talent available, and I went and said to everyone in my life, all my friends, all my family, everyone I talk sports with, I had said, there's no way Pistons are getting this pick. I don't believe it. I'm not going to get all hyped up. I'm not going to get all worked up about this and hope that the Pistons land the number 1 overall pick and a chance at this generational talent because it never happens. We have the worst luck. We've only had the number 1 overall pick 2 other times in history. What are the chances it's going to happen now? It hasn't happened in decades. Then they got the pick. So I thought, why not go for round 2? Last year I tried something a little bit different and tried to be enthusiastic. Pistons ended up with number 5, so I took the middle road. And unfortunately, we ended up with number 5 anyway. Yesterday, it was in the morning yesterday, it feels like just last night I was saying this to all of you on the show that I believe the Pistons weren't going to get the number 1 overall pick. And they didn't get the number 1 overall pick. In fact, things went horribly wrong for them. They ended up in the spot, frankly, they had the best odds to end up in. But of course, the down on their luck, never getting that big break, San Antonio Spurs only got the 3rd generational big man with the NBA by winning the NBA draft lottery in their franchise's history. All they've done before is had, these little known players like David the Admiral Robinson or Tim Duncan, guys you never heard of, guys who've never won championships, guys who, are basically afterthoughts. They're no Ruben Boomjay. They're just guys who played basketball in, gray and white uniforms in San Antonio. Now they get Victor Wembanyama. Pistons could still get a solid talent at number 5 in this draft. The number 3 place, top 3 was really the place to be with Victor Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, and Brandon Miller out of Alabama being those top 3 players. Both San Antonio and Houston had the same odds as Detroit to land the number 1 overall pick. The teams with the 3 worst records in the NBA all having 14% chance to get the number 1 overall pick. The only team that jumped out of the projected top 5 and into one of those top 4 picks was Portland, who had a 10.5% chance of landing the number 1 overall pick. They jumped into the top 4 at number 3 overall, pushing the Pistons out and onto that number 5 overall pick. The Spurs won the lottery for the 3rd time in franchise history. As I said, another generational big man going there from their storied history of David Robinson to Tim Duncan and now Victor Wembanyama, most likely delaying the retirement plans for legendary head coach Greg Popovich and certainly changing the course of history in San Antonio. So who could Pistons end up with? A few of the guys that are on the list are a couple of twins, Eamon and Oscar Thompson, who are playing professional ball outside of the NBA at this time, and both very good players, very solid talents. One of them, I would presume, would be available at number 5 which one's a better fit, that's up for debate. Jarris Walker out of Houston, and Cam Whitmore are also possibilities. Whitmore out of Villanova. Another possibility could possibly be trading that pick and maybe some of the other young talent on a roster that's very top heavy and the big man positions with guys like Isaiah Stewart and James Wiseman on that list. Younger players that maybe haven't hit that stride yet, like Killian Hayes, could be traded with that pick for a veteran. But the key for me continues to be Cade Cunningham. Going into his third season in the NBA, he was out last year with injury. He was in and out of the lineup in his rookie season with injuries. Getting him healthy has been the biggest concern for the Detroit Pistons, and that's going to be the biggest factor in whether or not this team takes a big step forward. Look, you can only go up from here. You have the worst record in the NBA, but you can still be bad next year. You can still have the worst record in the NBA next year. A lot of pressure is going to be on Cade Cunningham. He is considered a generational talent. He is still considered having the potential to be a generational talent. The leadership is there. We see it. We hear about it all the time from the Pistons organization, from the media that's around the Pistons every day, those beat reporters, from the players themselves, that Cade Cunningham is in control of that locker room. He is the heart of this team. When that talent of his takes that next step, it's going to be huge, especially after a great rookie performance from Jaden Ivey, playing off position at the point guard with Cade Cunningham being injured for the majority of the year, and to some extent a surprising rookie year, but to some extent not so much of a surprising rookie year, and a great showing from Jalen Duren, another young big man for the Detroit Pistons. Continued progress from Isaiah Stewart in his development would also be a nice touch. Where does James Wiseman go from here? How do those guys fit into these plans? Do we have that three-headed monster of bigs in Duren, Stewart, and James Wiseman remaining with this team? Where do the Pistons go from here? They have plenty of cap room. They got a top 5 draft pick. They got a young core of really solid players that have a lot of potential, but there's a big room for improvement. And this offseason is going to be a big factor in what happens with the Pistons rebuild. Are we going to see them right back in the draft lottery next year, hoping for another number 1 overall pick to take this rebuild into its next gear? Or are the Pistons going to finally hit that next gear this season, make those strides, maybe compete for a play-in spot in the Eastern Conference? That is all going to depend on this offseason. And more importantly for me, where does Cade Cunningham factor in when he comes back next season? Will he remain healthy? Will he take that next step? Will that motivation of his to be great, to bring Detroit basketball back, play a big factor in the Pistons taking a step forward next year, and instead of continuing to take one step forward and then trip and take 17 steps backwards, as has seemed to be the case of this rebuild for a number of years. All these headlines are making news today on our local news page on civiccentertv.com. In addition, public health information from the Centers for Disease Control, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division can all be found at the top of the page as well. We'll take a break on the Megacast. On the other side, our co-flagship, My Michigan TV, has been traveling all throughout the state of Michigan with our friends at Pure Michigan and the Michigan Economic Development Corporation as we make a return to summer. They took a road trip. Dave Lorenz from Pure Michigan and Tom Dalden, who you may recognize from PBS's Under the Radar Michigan, have gone to places all throughout the state of Michigan. We'll explore some of their favorite conversations from their road trip all across different regions of the state of Michigan as they talk about this travel season coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Like what you see? Beautiful works of art, masterworks of metal, and accomplishments of artistry will be on display near you. All kinds of artists from all walks of life come together to celebrate their skill and appreciate their work's beauty. Hot Works presents the 2023 Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. Stop by July 29th and 30th between 2 and 10 p.m. between Powers and Daly off of Orchard Lake Road.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important.
And now the same is true in the face of flu.
Influenza has the power to infect millions.
But it's easy to protect yourself, your family, and your community.
The flu vaccine is safe and effective. And with COVID-19 still around,
it's essential. Together we can face flu season head on.
Visit michigan.gov/flu.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Oakland County and the state of Michigan. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft. You can stay up to date with our show and follow all of our full episodes and find all of our individual segments on demand as well by visiting civiccentertv.com/megacast. You'll find links to all of our partnering stations all across Oakland County, as well as our co-flagship at My Michigan TV with great original and imported content all about the state of Michigan from creators all across the Great Lakes state. One of their best programs of late has been this new program they did in partnership with Pure Michigan called Pure Michigan Live, A Return to Summer, The Road Trip, featuring Dave Lorenz from Pure Michigan, from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, who we'll talk to a little bit later on in the week about all things spring and summer travel in the state of Michigan. But he went all across the state with Tom Dalden, the host of Under the Radar Michigan, one of the best programs about travel and tourism and activities in the state of Michigan that you can see on your local PBS station all throughout the Great Lakes state. They went all over the place. They went to Flint, to South Haven, Charlevoix, Sault Ste. Marie, Ann Arbor, and more, exploring some of the great places and activities and talking to individuals in the know about activities, about tourism, about great attractions all across the state of Michigan. We'll take you on a little bit of a review of what they've done across these hours and hours of programs from across the state of Michigan. We'll begin in Ann Arbor, where both Dave Lorenz and Tom Dalden were at the Big House talking all about Ann Arbor and Michigan travel. And they talked to Jill Halpin from My Michigan Beach and Travel about her unique program that helps you find some of those ideal places you can travel right here in our local area in southeastern Michigan and all across the state. Let's take a look at that on today's edition of the Megacast.
Jill, it's Jill. That's
Hi,
right.
how are you?
I had a little aneurysm there. Yes. Sorry.
So Jill Halpin, let me help you out here.
Thank you.
With My Michigan Beaches?
My Michigan Beach and Travel.
Beach. I got it. That's
But
it.
it's
And travel.
mymichiganbeach.com.
.com.
Yes.
And you know of every secret beach in the state.
I do, and I'll tell you what, I don't give them all away, but I did give one of my very favorites away today.
I'll tell you my favorite. Tell me yours.
Yeah.
Mine's the beach at North Bar Lake.
Oh my gosh, that's one of them.
Really? It's just north of Empire, and it used to be nobody knew about this beach. Nobody.
I know. I hope I'm not responsible for sharing that because I do have that on my website.
It's probably the most great, secret, little, beautiful little beach.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know the best time to go there is
right now?
Yeah.
I've got my bathing suit on.
Fall. In autumn, it clears out, and it is still spectacular. The water's still warm, and oh my gosh, what a special treat. Beautiful place.
Well, so now what do you do in your organization? Do you, keep track of all the beaches, keep us informed on what's out there? Explain.
So I started mymichiganbeach.com. Originally, we were just covering beaches. I grew up in Michigan. I spent my life, I still spend my summers on the beaches here, swimming and sailing.
You must have tan lines all the time. Sorry, is that inappropriate? Anyway.
And in the winter, skiing and things like that. And I started talking to people, friends, families, family relatives who lived out of state, and they had no idea what Michigan was like.
And I'm glad you mentioned, beaches even in the winter. My daughter, in the winter, she takes her dog to the beach, and they walk for miles, and beaches even in the winter are beautiful.
Oh, all the time. Yeah. So I started the website. I have a background as a journalist and librarian, and the website just blew up. It obviously, I've got a great subject here, right? Yeah. And so as we've expanded, we've gone inland, and we're really just covering everything Michigan travel. But in addition to the website and our social media, we also partner with Michigan businesses, wineries, resorts, kayak companies, all kinds of different companies. And we promote them on our website, and then also on social media. We do giveaways and things like that. We've got a couple specials right now on the website for National Travel Week.
Yeah.
So it's really a great community, and it's a great thing to always be promoting.
It's such a great concept. How'd you come up with this?
Just, you know, hey, what can I say?
A couple glasses of wine and hey!
Again, it's a great subject. Michigan's a great place. And,
and the website is mymichiganbeach.com. That's M-Y, not M-I, like most of our websites are. MyMichiganBeach.com.
Because everybody's got their favorite beach.
Yeah. Mine is PJ Hoffmaster State Park. But part of the park is shut down this summer they're fixing everything up.
I saw that.
We are investing so much into our state parks right now. It's incredible. What was your favorite?
You're really going to make me tell?
Huh?
You don't have to.
Yeah.
I told you my favorite.
Okay, you know what? If they're watching this, they deserve to know.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right.
So it's Old Faithful. Have you ever heard of it?
Old Faithful?
Old Faithful. So it's near Arcadia, and it's Pierport. It's the end of I believe it's the end of Pierport Road.
Oh, I know where that is.
Do you know where that is?
Yeah.
And there's that artesian
I didn't know what it was called.
Okay, it's right here.
Oh, it's
like right there.
Okay.
So you follow the dead end, and you'll see, chances are whenever you go, you're going to see cars there filling up their jugs with the artesian water.
Right.
Pull in after you get some of your water, and then that is a stunning beach.
It's on Lake Michigan?
It's on Lake Michigan.
Have you ever been to the Good Heart store and kind of right behind there a little bit?
Yes.
Another one we're probably not supposed to share, but there you go.
Yes, that is a good one. I have a good friend of mine. In fact, it's her daughter represented Michigan in the Olympic snowboarding. Kalapis, Zoe Kalapis.
Yeah.
They have a place near there.
Fantastic. So the website again?
mymichiganbeach.com.
That's
Joe
correct.
Halpin. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Thanks
Great
for
to see
having
you.
me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Give me that mic.
You can find the entire, I love the end of that clip with Tom Dalden just grabbing that mic back. Give me that mic. What great energy as always from Tom Dalden from Under the Radar, Michigan. Plenty of more information on travel around the Ann Arbor area from that edition of the Pure Michigan, A Return to Summer, the road trip on My Michigan TV. You can find all the episodes on mymitv.com, mymitv.com, or go to civiccentertv.com/Michigan and click on our My Michigan TV link. Another great place to go for some of the great beach land in the state of Michigan and experiences on the water is Charlevoix. Another person on this road trip that both Dave and Tom talked to is Amanda Wilkin from Visit Charlevoix. Let's take a look at that clip from the Pure Michigan, A Return to Summer, the road trip.
Amanda Wilkin from the Charlevoix Tourism Bureau. Amanda, it's really great to see you. Thank you for allowing us to come and say hi.
I'm so happy to be here, really, and I'm happy that you are here in my community today. It's really great to have you all in Charlevoix.
Yes, so beautiful.
Not like Siri. I say, Siri, give me to Charlevoix. Oh, getting directions to Charlevoix.
I know, it's so confusing.
It's very fancy. I like that. So I really have been. Tom has been here so many times. We love this place. For somebody who's never been to Charlevoix, describe this really great town.
Yeah, so Charlevoix is really a great mix of small town, but there's still a lot of great restaurants, a lot of great attractions. People come from actually all over northern Michigan to come see some of our attractions like Castle Farms, the early young mushroom houses, our downtown, our bridge, our beaches. They're all free and they're all public. It's just a really beautiful spot. And we love summer, but we also love all seasons here in Charlotte. It's a great time. Any time of year is a great time to come to Charlotte.
Yeah, to sit on the river and have dinner here. You even have a wine at the bar across the street called The View.
Yes.
And The View, with what a view. I mean, you're on the channel
right here, down the Pine River.
Right, between Round Lake and the Big Lake, Lake Michigan. It's such a beautiful environment. And the bridge going up and down, the sailboats going by.
It is.
And you get to live here.
I know, it's crazy. I wake up every morning and I'm excited, and I'm so blessed and so lucky to live here in this beautiful place. This restaurant that we're sitting at right now, Stafford's Weathervane, if you've never been to Charlevoix before, this is like quintessential Charlevoix. So you should come see this. Even if you just hop in for a drink or a pop, You got to see this place. It's
Awesome food too. Really awesome.
Yes. Yep.
Something else. Amanda, would you describe Charlevoix as an event town, as a town that you come here just for the atmosphere all the time of the year, as a foodie town, as a shopping town, as a, whatever? How would you describe Charlevoix?
Dave, I hate to say this, but we are all of those things.
Yeah.
We really are. A lot of people come during the summertime for a lot of events that we have. We do have some great year-round events, which my great friend from the chamber is going to come a little bit later and talk about all the events happening in Charlevoix. But year-round events, there's also something to do recreation-wise. So recreation is huge here as well. So if there's not an event, it's okay too, and just come anyways.
Oh, I'll never forget the first time I drove into this and through this town. You have to stop.
You
It's
do.
just so beautiful here.
If you don't stop, you get annoyed because
Yeah.
you're getting caught up in bridge traffic, or we have this beautiful US 31.
Right. With the Bastille Bridge behind us.
Yes, yes. If you don't stop, then you're not going to like it here. But if you do stop, you will love it here.
Oh, this place it's paradise.
Yeah, and I really do think, and I've told you before, I think this is such an art-friendly town, and not just your events, but your galleries and your shops, and I do love the Earl Young home. I've said this to you before, this is kind of crazy. The best library in a small town I've ever seen. It's really cool. And, so a lot of times
you even do library good.
Yeah, well, sometimes you're coming camping here and you can camp in this excellent state park right on Lake Michigan, and maybe you don't have access to the internet, so you go to the library, and it's an awesome library.
The library is fantastic. There's a lot of culture here for being such a small town. There's a ton of culture, which our library makes really, really good examples of. But the Historical Society is here. They've got a museum, this Circle of Arts, and some of those folks are going to be here a little bit later to talk to you. So you're going to hear from a lot of amazing Charlevoix people and all of Northern Michigan people.
Can't wait a minute.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
And since we don't have a studio audience, Dave and I will clap you off.
Yes, it's good. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you.
Last night we had a studio audience, but tonight we do not have.
Amanda Wilkin from the Visit Charlevoix organization, and they certainly are welcoming us.
I'll also clap Amanda off. A great interview and plenty more to learn from Charlevoix on mymytv.com, both from the Pure Michigan, A Return to Summer, the road trip program, and so much more content from Charlevoix available through MyMy, as well as on their free apps for your smartphones and your smart TVs. Just search My Michigan TV on your favorite app store to find us and watch all of our programming for free. Another underrated place in the state of Michigan that has so much great activity, so many different places to go and explore, is the city of Flint and the Genesee County area in mid-Michigan. And both Dave and Tom talked to another individual in the know about some of the great things that are available and the great places in Flint and in Genesee. Let's take a look at this clip.
Okay, let's get going. Let's bring in Amari.
Amari, here comes Amari Stewart, and she's the executive director of Explore Flint and Genesee.
Hello. I have a microphone for you. Here we go.
Yes, are we on? Is the microphone on?
Yes, we got it. Hey, how you doing, Amari?
Good to see you guys.
Yeah. Good to see
Welcome
you too.
to Flint and Genesee County.
Thank
Happy to have you here.
So I have to tell you, Amari was the hit of the travel conference in Grand Rapids, a month ago or so?
Yes, it was just about a month
We did this
ago.
fun thing where we had some of the folks go up and they showed some pictures and they talked about something they were passionate about, and it was all about the Flint and Genesee County area. And you knocked it out of the park.
I like to say I'm Flint's biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, you are.
I love the energy and the passion you have for this area. Where's that come from?
Well, I was born and raised in the area, and so I think about my grandfather. He worked for General Motors, and he had such a passion for his vehicles, and he had such a passion for the community. He moved here for an opportunity, and I just feel like if he saw me today to see the opportunity come into fruition, for the opportunity that he moved here, and then how we represent our area with so much pride, and I'm able to talk about being the birthplace of General Motors, it's just a wonderful opportunity to bring it back full circle.
Well, we're hoping people come here for leisure and such, but this is also a really great, meeting, conference, convention, and sports town as well. So I know you're very involved in encouraging people to come here through the Tourism Bureau. Tell us a little bit about the region itself and why people
people should come here?
So we love to leverage our partnership with Pure Michigan, of course, to market our destination as a meeting destination location and for sporting events. We love to promote events like Creme Festival of Races, Back to the Bricks, but then we also have an opportunity to promote events that come into town like the National Federation of the Blind, which talks about the accessibility in our area. And we like to promote Kettering University. And we like to promote our largest county park system in the state of Michigan with 4 Mar Nature Preserve. I won't tell too much about our county park system because I know they're on the speakers list for today. So we'll stay tuned for all those fun things, but we love to just promote all the family-friendly activities that are in the area to do as well.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in if the city feels good, if it feels right when first time you drive through, then they're doing something right. And I just love the way this town feels. The downtown's beautiful. The new restaurants, the new green spaces. It's just, we just had dinner across the street. It was amazing.
People are amazed when
yet
they
another
come to our
dinner.
area. Yeah, another one. People are amazed when they come to see the revitalization and how everything has changed from when they once came. And they'll look at buildings, they're like, I used to shop there, or I used to bring my daughter here, or at the Capitol Theater, there's a show there tonight. And so bringing back that feel of going to the show and having a dinner at the local restaurant in the area, that's really what we're all about. It's great, quaint, walkable area. It's great weather outside today as well, so it's a great time to kick off travel and tourism.
Well, it's not a good time or an easy time for cities these days. People are leaving cities, and it's unusual to see cities coming back to the degree that Flint is. It's really fun to see what's happening here. The theater next door, which looks spectacular, the new Hilton Hotel. Tom and I stayed in that. When was that?
Oh, not
a little while ago.
A little while ago, but young people especially are reconnecting with downtowns because they want to feel like they belong to something. They want that sense of place that you can get in the city. So a lot of young people are moving into downtowns and revitalizing and bringing energy and
our lofts are full. We actually have a Make Your Move campaign right now, bringing people back to the area. Just that nostalgic feeling of being in the area, growing up in the area, and then having that passion to pour back into the community. It's really our community that makes this area thrive.
Well, I know there are a lot of big events coming up. People might want to make their plans to come. Where do they go to find out more about coming to the area, what they can do when they're here, and booking their hotel rooms?
Yes, so if they just go straight to our website, exploreflintandgenesee.org, there's a booking link online where they can book their hotel stay. There's actually an itinerary link where they can book their time here when they're traveling as well. So definitely all the events are posted on our website, or visit our Facebooks, Explore Flint and Genesee as well.
Yeah, what, Facebook?
Facebook and Instagram, Explore Flint and Genesee.
Okay, awesome.
Great. Thank you, Mari.
Thank you
so
guys.
much.
Thank you for coming to Flint.
Thanks.
Happy to have you.
So,
Yes.
Studio audience, come on, let's give it for it.
I'll take that.
One of the favorite places for people to go in the northern part of the state of Michigan is the Sault Ste. Marie. Plenty of fun to explore there, and history as well. Dave and Tom both sat down with another individual to talk about some of the great historical sites you can visit in the Sault. Let's take a look.
Who are we talking to next?
We're going to be talking, Dave, funny you should ask, we're going to be talking about Sault Ste. Marie historic sites with Paul, whose last name I won't even try to say because he wants to tell me how to pronounce it.
Well, thank you very much. Anin, Tom. Bonjour, David.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Bonjour, and welcome to Sault Ste. Marie. And my last name is Sabourin, or Sabourin.
Sabourin.
Oui. Yes, it is French.
I'm
the curator with the Sault Historic Sites here in Sault Ste. Marie, and we say sites because there's 2 of them. The first one, you've already talked about it, is the Sault Historic Board, the Sault Historic Sites Board. Fortunately, you've had 3 of our members. His Worship, Don Gary, Her Highness, Linda Holt, and Captain Shallop. All 3 are board members of the Sault Historic Site. It was organized back in 1968, and the reason of 1968, it was to celebrate the tricentennial, 300 years. It was in 1668 that Father Jacques Marquette arrived here from France up the Ottawa River, Lake Nipissing, Upper St. Mary's River, and to Sault Ste. Marie. And he established the first permanent mission here in Sault Ste. Marie.
It's almost like you're a historian.
I read a lot. I listen to also Under the Radar because you were the first one that came on board at the museum ship Valley Camp.
An amazing experience.
The ship itself was the main product, and the main goal of the Sioux Historic Site is to be able to acquire a tourist destination. The Lewis W. Hill was launched in 1917 in Lorain, Ohio. And back in 1966, she was decommissioned, taking coal down to Lake Erie. On that particular basis, then, the Sioux Historic Site purchased the Valley Camp, and on July the 4th, 1968, she was tugged from Duluth. And since that particular time, she's then been reconditioned into a maritime museum.
How long is that ship?
550 feet long,
Seems a lot bigger than
55
that.
feet beam.
Wow.
But she is a small compared to the Paul Tregurta.
Yeah.
1,013 feet 6 inches.
One of the most amazing things you have in the exhibit on that ship are a couple of the lifeboats from the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yes, one of our particular executive director at that time was part of the U.S. Coast Guard. And once the investigation was completed, then lifeboat number 1 and lifeboat number 2 were brought inside the museum ship Valley Camp. And we have a beautiful display, beautiful exhibit, and we also have a video that shows the history of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And may I point at this time here, may Gordon Lightfoot rest in peace.
Yes, absolutely.
That being said, then, there's 25 to 30,000 visitors that come in. We're open 6 months of the year, from mid-May till the end of October. And at the end of October, we do have a special situation where we have a ghost ship. 2 nights, we had 1,200 people that came into the ship.
Wow.
The Sioux Historic Site website is Sioux, S-A-U-L-T, Historic Sites, plural, because we also own and operate the Tower of History. You've already talked about it.
Yeah.
It's 210 feet. And if ever you wish to climb up there, you've got 292 steps. Or Tom, you just press on the button and the elevator will whisk you up.
That's me.
45 seconds.
I actually took the stairs up there, and the view from the top of that tower is breathtaking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Breathtaking.
I ran up the tower at least part of the way. So the website again, SiouxHistoricSites.com. Paul, thanks for being with us.
Okay.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Megwich, Chimegwich, Bamapi, Minwa. Merci.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Thanks, Paul.
You can catch all of the different editions of Pure Michigan, A Return to Summer, The Road Trip through My Michigan TV, mymytv.com, or find the My Michigan TV app for free on various app stores for your smartphones and for your smart TVs. You can also go straight to their website through civiccentertv.com/megacast, which has links to all of our partnering stations. That's it for today's edition of the Megacast. Big thank you for joining us on today's program, and of course for staying with us every day live from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You can catch us for replays online on civiccentertv.com/megacast and find us all throughout the local area. Until next time, I'm Tyler Kieft. Take care of each other, and we'll